Welcome to the Best Business Podcast, the podcast for established marketers, entrepreneurs, and CEOs, the ones who want to join me in my mission to create 200 new multi-millionaires who solve world problems with entrepreneurship. If that's you, then this podcast was created to give you access to the tools, training, strategies, and tactics you need to achieve multiple seven-figure profits as soon as possible. This world needs the best business you can build, so please get ready, open your mind, believe you can do this, and let's build a better world together for future generations. All right, hello everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm Daryl Urbanski as always, and today we are joined by Glenn Bridges. And Glenn came to me, referred to me. Basically, I'm like we've recommended, I'm in mastermind groups, I've got support networks, and his name has come up again and again and again as someone I needed to connect with. So I actually reached out with him and asked if he would be willing to do a call with us today because he's got such a phenomenal track record of using webinars to sell pretty much anything, including Aston Martin's. And not only that, but he's just been really good with helping business owners kind of like the solopreneurs step out of being the person who does it all and really get more strategic about designing a business that fits their lifestyle versus, a lifestyle that feeds their business, I think was a quote that he uses. So we've got him on the call today. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate taking time out of your schedule. I know that you're just kind of coming off of a cold. We've tried to set this up a couple of times. So we finally got it set down. Man, thank you for joining us. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. You had some really amazing guests on this show, and as I said to you earlier, I do get a few of these requests a month, and I try to avoid as many of them as possible, just to really deal with cool people I think I can have a really powerful conversation with, and so I'm really excited, and I'm just grateful for you approaching me.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, it first just piqued my interest, just the people who were recommending you and the frequency of which it was happening. So, and again, you are kind of a bit of an unknown, and so that's kind of what first got my interest. And after some poking around, I was like, all right, let's get this guy on the phone and see what he's about. But what were you doing before you got started in this? What were you doing before you kind of were figuring out, I guess, sales automation strategies?
Yeah, so I have a very backwards kind of experience in sales and marketing. So basically how it all kind of kicked off was I actually set up a charity, and I set up a charity about 7 years ago now, and it's still running today, and it helps young people to get access to personal development, because I had a pretty tough time growing up as a kid and dealt with a bunch of issues which kind of later manifested in things like a very crippling OCD, and later kind of a depression, which sent me fortunately into a difficult place, which I then learned from and kind of got out. But it wasn't I didn't get out of there by myself. I got out thanks to good mentors and personal development. So I kind of made it my mission, my raison d'etre, for a number of years to get that material more available to young people. And when you start off a charity, which, by the way, folks, if you want to get rich, don't start a charity. It's a kind of a no-brainer thing there, but I didn't learn that until as soon as I got into it. When you want to do something like that, we had zero budget, we had no idea of what we were doing, we had no plan, I had no skills, no knowledge. And so really it was like a trial by fire, but it was an awesome place to start because also it's very low risk. And I was able to really learn my skills with, no money. And so we would get these, we managed to generate leads out of nowhere at low cost to convert them at very, very high rates into our programs that we offered. And we delivered a fantastic service, which meant that our marketing was really done for us. And so that kind of piqued my interest in sales and marketing. I've always been fortunate enough that since I was about 14, my parents were in retail. My mum was in retail, and she taught me. She gave me an apprenticeship like no other. We used to go around different wholesalers and stockists, and she would ask me. She said, "What do you think is going to sell, Glenn?" And she would get me to pick it out at 14 years old. And some of it would often sell, and some of it wouldn't sell. But she got me this experience of getting to know what people bought and why did they buy. And so I was at 14 years old having to run a retail store. So I had an interest, but I didn't really capitalize that until I set up this charity, and it really led from there. But what really kind of fired it was at the time when I was setting up this charity, everybody was trying to focus on the formation of the company and applying to regulations and policies. And I kind of just saw through all of that and just told everyone in the organization that we had, and we had a team of about 10 or 12 people at that point, that were, some were volunteers and some were full time. And I just said, like, none of this matters if we can't market and sell properly. And no one in the organization really got it except me. And that was a really big learning point about how powerful it is, why it matters so much, and being able to communicate that. And I
Right.
still, to this,
Can we
sure.
can we articulate that again? Just say that again because it's such an important point. Because
Mm,
I go through this all the time. My logo, colors, our brand, the look and
mm.
feel. What was it that you just said? Is that going to go?
Yeah, so people just do not appreciate the importance of sales and marketing. Sales and marketing cannot be emphasized enough, as it is everything.
Hmm.
It is every single thing you do and you don't do.
Right. And if
And
and there's nothing to be done in your business if you've got no sales.
exactly. But the only thing to be done is to go and get more sales, to go and get more things happening.
Right.
So everything else really is either a distraction or a time waster. And unfortunately, with the vast variety of things the internet gives us, one of the kind of the biggest challenges it gives us is it gives us this infinite opportunity to get distracted and to justify that as important. Like, I need to have my Facebook page done, and I need my
Right.
16-part email sequence done, and
Mhm.
it's like, that's all really BS. The only thing that we can focus on is how can we directly impact sales and leads.
Right, 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 right. So what were some of the early tools that or how did you solve that problem? How did you crack that nut? I mean, you didn't have the skill set really. You had the
Hmm.
mindset that you needed. Your environment was hopefully supportive of it, obviously, since you've developed the skills. So what are some of the things that you figured out in this trial by fire? Like, how did you, because you've got a really well refined process. You're very comfortable with the whole concept and and yeah, you've got a good sense of what will or won't work. So how did that get developed? How did you, like, what did you try? What didn't work? What did work? What were you repeating?
Mm. Yeah, that's a good thing. So, a good question to ask, and I've never really asked of it myself. So, it's difficult to come back with a first response. But I would say the thing that had always worked is just, and will always work till, for the rest of the eternity, whatever happens to the internet, whether we create, cybernetic organisms that go and destroy the planet like in Terminator, right? It's always going to be the same, that joint ventures and getting in front of your audience, who have people that have already got it, is the way to go. And so what we initially did was we did our best to get in front of schools, to get in front of organizations that had our target market, which was young people.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did everything we could. And some were very reluctant. But even though they were reluctant, they still felt this obligation to promote us, or they felt this obligation to at least, show what we had to other people. And so we started like that. We started with just joint venturing initially to get the initial fuel in the fire. And then what happened was, once we'd stoked that fire, and how we stoked it was we created this extraordinary experience, which was this amazing transformational program for young people that would literally turn their life around from, we dealt with young people that had been raped or severely abused to, finally being able to come to terms with that, or, having someone that had been abused and being able to go to court and, speak in court, whereas they hadn't been able to before, or, we had one kid that couldn't work out what he wanted to do with his life and is now studying at university to become a doctor. All these amazing stories. And so what happened was, these kids came back different people from this program. And so they would go into their schools, they would go into their friends, they would go on Facebook. And every week when we'd run these programs, Facebook would just light up with comments. And so I would say that for us, it was initially about, people say referrals and build a better product, build such a good product that people want to talk about it. Well, that's only partly true, because you need to get that in front of people in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get it in front of some people, and there needs to be that critical mass.
Mm-hmm.
So we used joint ventures initially, had an amazing product. Then, to be honest with you, the referrals and just the small viralness in the geography that we were working in kind of took care of everything else from there.
No, but I like that because that highlights an ideal point, and something I'd like to point out for listeners of the call is that you led in the industry with a phenomenal product. And there's
Mm,
basically, from my experiences and what I've learned with through various mentors and people, is that every company leads with either one thing: either they're operationally more efficient, Either they've got the best quality product on the market, or
Mm,
they know their customer the best. So they may not have
mm.
top quality ingredients, or they may not have XYZ, but their solution fits what the customer really, really wants because they've done more in-depth research into their thoughts and fears and feelings and wants and desires. So it's like one's a marketing centric company where they've got a really dialed in avatar and they really know the pain points and what the real problem is they're solving. The other hand, there's the product that's world class. It's made out of titanium or unobtainium from another planet, whatever, right? Or there's companies that are just so efficient. Their products might be a dime a dozen, but you'll buy them because even though they're so cheap, it's cheaper to just keep replacing it than go buy the nice newfangled thing on the market. So you found a way to get the best product out there in front of a large group of people, and then after that, it just floated itself kind of the rest of the way. Is that correct?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we still the charity's still running today, and it's still needs to proactively market. And so I'm not painting this picture that all our work is done, but a lot of the heavy lifting is done. And it's always so much easier if you've got some momentum to work with. If you've got something to work with versus nothing. But if you still speak to, I don't have any operational or managerial input in that charity anymore. But if you speak to the people running it, they still are getting people from the existing channels that we set up 7 years ago. So, and still from the original clients and customers we worked with 8 years ago. So that tells you something about what we're doing.
And the other thing that you said that we should dive into is that you went from zero to up and running using joint ventures. And that's something I'd really like to mention because I think that's probably one of the easiest and most powerful ways for any new business to get up and running is to have a strategic partner. Because exactly what you said, you're borrowing someone else's momentum. There's someone else has already created an audience and a following, and they let you get in front and have 15 minutes to just tell your story to everybody. And and that can be extremely powerful. You have a great story or a great cause or a great product, something that can really resonate with people, and someone gives you the opportunity to capitalize on their 5, 10, 15, 20, 40 years of energy and effort to create a group of an audience that will give them their attention when they say they have something to say. So that's one of the easiest and fastest ways to grow any sort of business is just to get an endorsement by someone who already has a large presence, whether it's credibility or whatever in that marketplace. I mean, I know people that have built businesses overnight because they they befriend an owner, people who own 2 or 3 different companies. Their product doesn't compete with that, but their product, for example, say your friend is a dog trainer and you've got some sort of, actually I had a potential client, he has it's like a miracle food for dogs that basically helps them regenerate, fight cancer, all sorts of illnesses. And so that doesn't really compete with you because I'm not training dogs, but it complements it. And so if I decided that I had this product and I got a couple of demo bags made so I could have samples and you just let me get in front of your audience and give away a few samples, like, wow, that would be so powerful right away. If you've been in business for 10 years and you just allow me to do that. So anyone who's listening, that might be something to consider. If you're stuck or you're hitting a plateau and not sure how to get through and break through the next level, there may be some people that you haven't considered partnering with that you should reconsider, or people that maybe you should start going to some of your conferences and trade shows to try and meet some of these people that can really give you that sort of leverage. But sorry,
I can't vouch for enough. I mean, just to carry on that, there's been every point in my journey where I've made significant progress has been the result of some joint venture of some sort. And I would, whether it's been on different products we've done or different webinars or different variations of my business or non-business type stuff, it's all come from that. And so I think you need to know what your strengths are as an entrepreneur. And one of mine is I'm a deal maker. I'm pretty good at sales and I'm pretty good at a deal maker. And I say I'm pretty good because I know there are some amazing heavy hitters that just do that day in and day out. And so I've got the skills to pay the bills. And there are people that take that to a whole new level of excellence. But that for me is my skill set. And so I recommend that anyone, if you get a chance, look at your you can either do like an inventory and check in with something. Is one of my skill sets deal making? I know one of my underappreciated skill sets and something I've reflected upon towards the end of last year was how little I appreciated that skill, because that's really what's got me. So, it sounds, fantastic and almost kind of impossible. But if you can find the people that have your audience, and you can build a relationship which is genuine, and get in front of them, then you can, fill your sales appointments. You can shift product. You can take your business to a whole new level. The thing I would recommend to people, though, is that it is just as much as a sale as you would if you had a prospect. So you need to think about who's going to be a good fit, who is it that you want to work with, building a relationship with them, discovering their needs, and making sure that the three parties in that relationship work very well. So their clients get served, you get served, they get served. So then they know that they're getting some need met, as well as their clients' needs are getting met, as well as what I'm doing. And so everyone in that process is looked after. So you need to go in with it. There's always this imaginary third person, and that third person is the client. So it has to be a win from all three angles.
No, I think you're right. And there's a couple of things to mention on this as well. So first of all, you want to try and build, exactly like you said, you don't want to just churn and burn people at all. And it's really transparent when someone comes to you just wanting. I just want, I want, I want, I want. I get that all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
People, like, even
it's because you're so handsome. I mean, I don't get that, because I'm just not so good looking.
Yeah,
so
thanks, man. But even when I'm in my hometown, like anytime I go home and people know that I'm home, there's always a couple people that I don't really have a relationship with, but when they know that I'm close, they like want to buy me lunch or want to buy me ever, and it's because it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it's very much, you just see right through it, right? And sometimes I entertain people, but I invited a couple of guys to my parents' house, and they basically came and did like a half-hour sales pitch on why I should like do that. But there was no, I don't want to go on and on about it, but it wasn't a sincere attempt to build a relationship.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey, you can do this for me, and you can do that for me, and you can do this for me, so you really should, because you'll be a great person. And that may work, but when you're someone who maybe is already involved in a lot of charitable initiatives, it's not going to do it. So the other thing to say about it as well is that unless it's a long-term arrangement, where there's a company that every time, like maybe it's a gym membership and you're a chiropractor, and so the gym just sends you people all the time, that would be great. But for a lot of things, your JVs, the thing is, it'd be great to get up and running and get started, but it won't keep you running over the long term, because people can only endorse you so many times before they have to come up with something new, or they want to talk about their own things. So maybe Jeff, or Glenn, you able to speak? Jeff, Glenn, can you maybe speak to that to a little bit?
Yeah. So there's I'll give you three things to think about. And don't worry about calling me Jeff, by the way. At school, I got called Jeff and Guy and Gary all the time. People just couldn't say Glenn. I mean, I went to a really good school, and people still couldn't pronounce my name. I'm like, what the hell was that about? But there's a few things I would recommend. I mean, I was thinking about this today, because I actually was having a few joint venture conversations today. And one of the things that I think is important when we talk about building a business which supports our lifestyle, I think it's important to consider it from several points of view. Now, I'm just going to deviate just for a second, because this is going to come back to this going to answer the original question. So we think about having freedom of time, freedom of finance. For me, I include freedom of location, so being able to be independent and move around. I also include freedom of obligation, so not having a calendar, which means you've got to tie down to be here, or at this point you can be free to do what you want to do, other than a few set things you need to have in there. And one of the final freedoms I include is a freedom of expression. And by freedom of expression, I mean, in terms of, can I be myself? Can I say what I want, say what I feel, for the largest part, and just be completely authentic and transparent. So if I want to swear, if I want to be crude or rude like I would be with my friends and my family, then I can do that. And so one of the things I like to think about, obviously, in terms of who I select as a client is, is this sort of person that I can swear and be in front of. And normally by the time they've got to me, they know what I'm like, and they'll be put off if they don't like that, and they won't reach out to me. Mm-hmm. And one of the angles we need to think about is, if we're going to get into bed with joint venture partners, it's like that also applies to our joint venture partners. So for me, I look at a joint venture partner not as rubbing my hands together. I'm going to make some money. I look at it as, yeah, it's exciting. We're going to probably do some business together. But I get more excited about two things: about the idea of that person becoming part of my community and being a friend, another friend in my business, or a part of my business ecosystem, whatever you want to call it, and then bringing new friends into the party. So I had probably 2 or 3 joint venture partners, certainly in the last quarter of last year, that, are just great people and I enjoy speaking to. And I don't need to, I have been in a situation, hands up, where I've had joint venture partners, and after the deal is done and you want to speak to them again, you just dread speaking to them because you just don't like them or their energy, or you just wouldn't want to hang out with them at a cocktail party. So for me, when I'm getting into bed with a joint venture partner, I think, is this guy someone I'd buy a coffee? Is this someone I would buy a beer with? This is someone I'd want to speak to if there wasn't any money on the table. And if there is, then, and if that person's a yes, then that's a definite person they want to build. And then you look at the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is you never do any work together, but you have a great relationship, you have a great time with someone, you have great friendship with someone. And the best case scenario is you do some business together and you get both, rather than being in a situation where you produce that money, but probably karmically and probably energetically, there's some debt attached to it, and that debt is the ill feeling or the bad will or whatever you have it.
Right. No, that's so true, because I know I get people that they're so, like, they have this belief that they're even going to get a sale. Like, the first few sales are so exciting to them, and so there's people that they'll do anything to get the customer, right? Like, oh, I sing and I dance and I tap dance and I'll paint your house and I'll birth your baby, and like I'll do 101 things, because they just don't believe they're even going to get the sale. But once you're able to generate customers and you become adept at it, I think the flip side of that is now it's about who am I going to be dealing with? Because exactly,
Yes.
a huge function of marketing is to sift and sort through people. And sometimes
Yes.
it's the people that have the money that would pay it, and they would be long-term customers, but they would suck up so much customer service and whatever. And again, it kind of depends on the company you're building. If you're building some big corporate entity and it doesn't necessarily matter because there's somebody that's their job, XYZ, then maybe that's different. But if you have a small business that's kind of intimate, you've got, 20 or less staff, you know what I mean? Like, then maybe it is kind of a consideration. Maybe, you don't want to, yeah, you just don't want to take on the people that are going to be over demanding for no reason, or just exactly like you said, they have really strong views in a certain way. I have a friend who trains at a CrossFit gym, and the owner's always lamenting about his racial standpoints and his political
Right.
standpoints. And that's kind of like, do I want that in my life? So that's a great point. That's a really great point, Glenn.
Definitely. So I'll just say one more thing on the tactical side of things, just to really help out on this point. But I definitely just want to encourage people to think about, especially if you're in a coaching or consulting business, what is the energy I want to attract in, and who is it that I really want to work with from that side of things? Because, you will find that as you do this more and more, you can choose to be more selective. And initially, if you get your first few clients in and they're good clients, but they're not ideal clients, then I wouldn't punish yourself if you're just starting off or just getting going. We all need to start somewhere. But to really start thinking about companies you work with, mentors, peer group, friends, family, as much as you can do is just, do I want to invite this energy into my life? And if you do, then fantastic. Bring these people on board, whether a joint venture partner or a prospect. I'm really talking quite generally now. And if they're not, then don't. One tip I'll give you, one tactic to think about, or two, in fact, I'll make a little bonus tactic, is when you're thinking about joint ventures and you're thinking about specifically people that you want to work with, try to, if possible, look at how you can integrate and duplicate. So what I mean by that is, most people want to do a one-hit wonder. They want to do a one-time promotion and that's it. And then people tend to get forgotten about or not thought about. Mm-hmm. So what you want to try and do is think about, how can you duplicate that effort again? So if you did a webinar that went really well, how could you do that again in each quarter, or twice a year, or one time every year, depending on the particular thing? And then also looking at how you can perhaps integrate into their marketing as it is. So for instance, let's just say in the example of traffic versus conversions, right? Online, we're driven by traffic and conversions. So if you've got a Facebook expert who's really good at driving Facebook ads, and you've got someone who's really good at the funnels, or a survey funnel, or a video funnel, or a webinar funnel, and you sell that course, then it would make best sense to put some content into that Facebook course that then can put a link or drive some traffic or drive an application to your particular program. And so that's something that can, presuming that person's going to promote it in evergreen fashion, can continue to be integrated into their business and can continue to supply them the leads. So duplication, integration are my few things. So be selective, duplicate, and integrate. Yeah. And then you might only need 6 joint venture partners a year.
Right. Because now you're becoming part of an ecosystem. And this is something that a lot of people don't talk about. The only person I've ever really seen or heard talk about this was Charlie Munger, who was Warren Buffett's right-hand man. And he's got a book called Poor Charlie's Almanac. And in it, he talks about looking at a free market, as you would an ecosystem. And that the animals that survive best in an ecosystem are those that specialize. They have a niche. They find prey a certain way. They have something that takes them out of the general population and gives them some sort of edge. And there's 2 benefits to that. One is you're specialized, so you've got less competition and you're allowed to be more expert at something, and you've got your own approach that separates you from the rest. And there's benefits and disadvantages to it for sure, but oftentimes when you specialize, it's because it's to your advantage. The other benefit of it is now you're not as competitive to the other people in the ecosystem, because you only hunt those type of fish, and you're only active at this time of day, and it allows all this other room for other creatures to coexist. Because if everybody was hunting the same things or taking up the same space at the same time, it'd be extremely crowded and it just wouldn't work out very well. So it almost is the same thing like you're saying here. If you want to be with a JV, and if you're a fitness professional, I'm a fitness professional, we can work together. But if we're generalists, it's going to be hard for us to do that without feeling like we're cutting each other's grass. But if I deal with people over 60 trying to regain mobility, and you deal with competitive athletes at university or whatever, right? It could be anything, rehabbing from injury, but whatever. But now we're both still we're both personal trainers, but now because we each have a designated niche, now we can work together in a symbiotic fashion that we can actually support each other over the long term without eating each other's business. And so I think that was something that just came to mind when you're talking about, because when you talk about these things, like I know people that they've got co-registration, which means on their websites, on their web forums or wherever, register, you're registering for 2 businesses, not just one, right? You're registering for whatever, and that's fine, but it's hard to build those again if you're kind of a generalist and you're all kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So again, to speak to that, what's you're specializing now yourself? You've done this. You've become really comfortable selling all sorts of items. You're kind of moving towards the health and fitness niche. Is that correct?
So yeah, I kind of straddle 2 markets. Initially, I always worked with business consultants, marketers, people that were selling some sort of financial ROI. And I cut my teeth in people selling business coaching, marketers selling marketing programs or done-for-you services, and even property investors selling property or investment opportunities or learning how to invest in property. So basically anything with a financial ROI, a hard, tangible benefit, that was my thing. I sold it very well. And then what happened in 2014 was I took control of my own health and went through my own body transformation. And I tended to get a lot of fitness professionals that were just kind of interested in my journey, and they respected my trainer, who's a very, very well-known trainer in the UK, and they just started reaching out for help. And around the same sort of time, my coach and my trainer, who was coaching me on fitness, also wanted to move out of a one-to-one business and have a much more scalable business where he could grow it and get his message out to a much more large people, because he has this tremendous magic, but it was only servicing 10 clients a year because his fees are phenomenally high. And so he then came to me and said, how can you help me? And so what happened is, like all things like that, when you create a result for someone else, they go to the source, they go to the root. Where did that person learn it from? And so I ended up getting a lot of fitness clients come in and taking people who are charging £50 an hour, which I think is probably like $75 now, $80 an hour US, and helping them to sell packages that were 10 or 12,000 pounds UK money. So again, that's probably like $1 billion US, because your dollar's kind of weak at the moment. Bless you. So that happened, and now I've just attracted more and more fitness guys, and I'm very, very fortunate is that I have a great deal of appreciation and enjoyment for my fitness. I work out most days. I have a personal trainer and really, really enjoy it. And so I actually enjoy having them as part of my tribe and my group. And ultimately, I like to work with people who are selling a result, selling a transformation, either in the fitness or the finance field. And I'm looking more and more into the future about bringing sort of being a collector of excellence. So bringing people with different excellences that can help you to live a better lifestyle and bring those into my clients. So at the moment, I'm generally straddled between those two markets, but I definitely will be bringing in a wider variety of people who can just help you to live an upgraded life and a much better life, as someone like Jesse Alder would say.
Got it. Geez, that reminds me of a podcast I really like. Um,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I had this idea about 12 podcasts ago.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's
This
awesome.
great guy called Daryl. He is amazing.
So when you get these people coming to you, because you've obviously shown it works across various industries, and this is a common theme
Yeah.
again, that business is a business is a business. What are the common mistakes you see people making? What are the things that people like right away, they're making mistakes in, one out of these three or five categories?
Oh my God, we could like. How long have you got? We could podcasts on this. I'll give you the ones that I deal with. Um, I'll give you the two biggest ones that I see all the time. The first one is just wanting to make things way more complicated than it actually is.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. So basically, God bless the internet. It has made things way more complicated than things need to be. And so what happens is we take a process like we want to sell a program or a consultancy or a result or whatever it is, and we need 7 steps, and we need a 16-part follow-up, and we need a tripwire, and we need a video series and an ebook and an event. And what happens is, if you are just starting, or even if you're, people have been doing it 3 or 4 years and have an intermediate knowledge and skill base, you end up needing to be like a Swiss Army knife and have like 5 skills down. You need to be a good salesperson, a good marketer, good at systems, good at what you do, and then good at and delivering a good service and doing admin. And normally when you're first starting off, unless you're starting off with deep pockets or a redundancy or a nest egg or something, you don't have the cash, all the knowledge, all the skills to go and hire that all out. And if you do, you're petrified in doing, or even if you do it all out, you're kind of stupid. So
Right.
what happens then, we want to sell this $200 thing, but we need to make it complicated as we can do. And the truth of the matter is there are 3 types of people or buyers that are going to come to you. The first are going to be people that want the result right now, immediately, and they are in pain and a high level of pain, or have a high level of desire and just want to buy it, depending on what you're selling. Somebody who wants to buy an Aston Martin has dreamed about that for years and years and years. They don't want to go for a tripwire and an event and then a video series and then a brochure and then a consultation. They just want to walk in and say, that's it.
Right.
Somebody who has got excruciating back pain, doesn't, or their business is falling around them, don't want to go through 18 steps. They want to find the 2-step option.
Right.
There's going to be people who are never going to be a fit for your stuff, or you're not a fit for them, so let's just send them somewhere else and get some help somewhere else. And there are going to be the people that do want to buy your stuff, but for whatever reason, they need more love, they need more content, they need more understanding of what you do. They have all these unanswered questions, and they're just not in a peak level of desire right now to take advantage of our stuff. And if they did get it, they wouldn't take advantage of it because they don't have that peak level of desire to work with. So when people think of it in terms of those 3 buckets, it's like, really, who are we marketing to? Are we marketing to the person who wants to take action now? Are we marketing to the people who's going to maybe take action 3 or 6 or 12 months from now? And everyone's got a different buying cycle. I had a lady end of December reach out and say, really interested, but I knew she wasn't at a high level of desire. 2 weeks later, she's come back and she's super, high levels of desire and wants to get started immediately. So people can really be driven by a lot of different factors, and we need to take that in. But the first thing I would just say is, one size doesn't fit all. Those are the 3 buckets you want to think about. And if you're building one, gigantic automated system that's got a million different pieces, you're probably, on the road to either burning out or going broke, and probably faster than you know it. So that would be the first mistake. Just keep things simple. Keep things focused on the sales, and giving the simplest version as you can do. If you, just to most people that are listening to this podcast will have the skills to do it. But one of the things I'm always amazed by is like people, for instance, who need to have a lead pages set up, or they need a squeeze page set up, but they don't know how to do it. It's like, well, just write a goddamn email and just say people reply to this email, or just send them the link. After you've done it. Like if speed is everything. Speed is one of my highest values, and so if you want to, develop that, you need to be simplistic. You can't be thinking things complicated.
Yep. No, that's great, and I can attest to that. And even inside some of the 7 and 8 and 9-figure businesses I've seen, they're just really simple, and it's because you can't have a framework. You can't build up to that level and serve that many people without having really simple, like a really simple business model and really simple processes. I mean, if you have to replace a staff and you're generating 9 figures worth of business a year, you got to be able to bring people in, train them up right away. I mean, look at McDonald's, right? Like they can retrain an entirely new staff at a McDonald's in like a week.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
So,
So I agree wholeheartedly.
And it leads on to one of the second biggest things that I see is just being afraid. And the reason I say that and why it links on is because complication is just another mask for fear. Because complication protects you from actually ever facing your deepest fear. So if your deepest fear is rejection or being successful, or what people are saying, or fear of loss, then keeping things complicated always protects you from that reality. And in fact, it doesn't protect you; it just puts it off for another day. Right. And so what happens is then we overwhelm ourselves in this overwhelm and distraction and complication in an effort to do that. And so the second kind of biggest challenge to see people is doing is just giving into fear and choosing to be ruled by that. Now, I'm not sitting here today holier than thou saying Glenn Bridges is this courageous warrior who never feels fear. I felt plenty of fear in the past 2 days, but the difference is that I've got on and done it, and that takes a certain level of emotional strength to be able to do it. But listen up, folks. If you didn't want an easy life, or if you wanted things to be easy, or if you got into whatever you're doing to be easy, then you might want to rethink your game plan, because you might want to just face the reality that it ain't going to be easy in a corporate job, or if you want an easy life, it's gonna be equal suffering, or you can choose the entrepreneurial route and it's going to be suffering and it's not going to be easy, but the rewards are going to be there for the taking. So those are the two big challenges I see, and that's probably what I spend most of my time. I wouldn't say most of my time in fair, but I spend a good chunk of my time just helping people to see through and get through. And once they start to get it, I generally find that they become really self-reliant, self-directed individuals who can be resourceful and not need to necessarily keep coming back to me or even to anyone else, and just think to themselves, what is the most efficient, quickest route I can get this out to market? And those guys always end up making the most sales because they implement it, they move fast, they create massive transformation, and then what we do is we can get strategic. We can employ someone else to do it, or we can take the time to do it. And if you want one of those fancy, complicated, overwhelming systems, God only knows why, but if you really believe that's the thing to do, at least you can sit on it with 20, 30, 40, 50 grand in your bank and be comfortable, rather than doing it on a shoestring budget and panicking all the time.
Right.
Bless
No,
you.
right. I agree wholeheartedly. In fact, I saw a quote the other day that you were reminding me of, that is like, fears killed more success than failure ever. It's like fear killed more success than failure ever has, or something like that. But it was that
nice.
most people fail because of the fear, not because they actually fail.
That's nice. I like that. I'm gonna definitely quote that in the future, and I'll say my good man Matt Darrell hooked me up with that quote.
Yeah, all good, brother. That one's free. No worries.
But the next one is $5,000.
Yeah, that's right. So all right. So that's kind of the two biggest things holding people back. Now, was that some of your challenges in it, or what were kind of the biggest challenges that you faced in what you were doing?
Yeah, no, you always see in people the biggest challenges or the weaknesses that you have confronted or are confronting, for sure. And I really am this big believer that business is a symbiotic process. So if you it's a very karmic process, and often those karmic cycles can be very quick if you look for them. Sometimes they can take a little bit longer, but basically I would say to you that your struggles will be the struggles of your clients. Your successes will typically be the success of your clients. So it's no surprise that most of my successful clients at the moment have loads more time. Some of them work 3 to 4, 5 hours a day. And are finished by lunchtime or whatever. They have businesses that are doing really well and their clients are getting great results. And that's because those are some of my strengths. So my clients' results are seeing some other things. And some of the struggles that they go through too, that I see it in myself and likewise. So being really transparent, honestly, for a long time I suffered with overwhelm, and it was what it was just a creative overwhelm. So what I mean by that is we have, and one of the lessons I've learned, and the most powerful, profound lessons I can share with anyone on this podcast. That's a pretty profound thing to say, but I'll see if I can back it up, or a pretty bold thing to say.
Yeah, it's all good. I believe in you.
Thank you. I needed that. I needed that reassurance. You need to. One of the best trainings I can recommend anyone goes through is Tony Robbins' 6 Human Needs. And have you done that, Darryl? Have you been through the 6 Human Needs?
No, I haven't. Sounds like I'm going to, though.
Oh, mate, I'll send you a link after this. You'll love it. Okay. I know you're going to love it. And basically, I won't spoil it for anyone listening through, but there are 6 human needs: connection, certainty, uncertainty, significance, as well as growth and contribution. And so we have these needs. You have to acknowledge these needs and these values we have as human beings and as entrepreneurs. And everyone's got different values. Most of us are all drawn by common themes like certainty and freedom, etc. Now, one of my biggest needs is connection and variety. And how I access that variety is a lot through creativity. Now, for many years, I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know how to express that or channel it in a healthy way. So what would happen would be is I get really excited and I get really caffeinated up and really juiced and really excited, and I want to go and create something. Right. And that was one of the most dangerous things I could do for my business, because I would always. Can I swear? Am I allowed to swear?
Sure, do what you got to do.
Oh, cool. So I'd always go and fuck up the most essential parts of my business, like the model, like the funnel, like the offer, the things that were working. Or I would add more stuff into the mix all the time. And so what would happen would be I was just creating this awful big mess. What I should have done in reflection, and what I do today, is look at if there's something working, leaving that and going and creating some other space. Now, sometimes that will be outside your business. So it could be like, how am I going to design my week? How am I going to design my year? What I'm going to play guitar. I'm going to design what I'm going to do with my girlfriend this weekend. Right? That could be the creative thing. It could be something completely unreserved, so you never F up the finances in the business. Or it could be, I'm going to create this whole new program, which is going to be awesome. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, I'm still going to enjoy it because this is one of my creative things. But I'm going to do this in a separate time that is not distracting from the core thing. That way your need gets met, which, it has, you can't resist it. It has to get met in the same way you need to breathe and eat and drink and sleep, right?
Right.
So
you have basic needs, and if you don't meet them, then then it's unhealthy, and it's how you get priests molesting children and stuff like that, is trying to deny reality. So no, I agree.
Yeah.
You can't fake it. You can't walk around all day in a crouch, and you can't walk around all day on your tiptoes. So you might as well just be yourself and just exist and be happy.
Yeah. So one of the things that I would encourage everyone to do, and comes back to when I talked about the 5 freedoms of a lifestyle business, is having that freedom of expression and knowing your own values and being able to find healthy, productive ways of using them. Because when you put them into your business, you'll find a power there that can fuel it up and do incredible things. If you resist it, if you try to meet it in unhealthy ways, then you will inevitably F things up, and that will always show up in your bank account. So sometimes things are going to be a bit boring. Sometimes the things are just going to be standard, and you need to make sure you get those needs met elsewhere on that type of stuff. So I doubt one of my biggest challenges was just dealing with the creative overwhelm that came from it, and just simplifying things down, realizing where my needs may get met. And one of the things that we don't teach, and marketers don't teach because it's not sexy and it's not compelling, but one of the most important lessons that I give to my clients, and I look to instill in what they do, is knowing what your values are and designing a business that meets not only your financial requirements, your lifestyle and time requirements, but also builds a business which meets your emotional requirements. So if you know you've got a high need for connection, creating an online program is just going to starve you of that, and you're only going to sabotage and resist it.
Yep.
If you've got a high need for variety and you're selling toothbrushes, unless you can find some way of making that fun and creative, or giving yourself some creative role inside that, the business is always going to be boring.
No, I think that's so true, because oftentimes people get caught up with the number, and the number, it's because it's, of course the number's great, and value, and of course, like, I like money. I don't know anyone who doesn't. So at least no one who has money that doesn't like it, because people I know that don't like money, they have no money, and that's not really that they don't like it, they just don't like not having it. So, and
I don't think the Amish like money? I don't think they like money, do
I don't know. I think, well, they still barter and trade. So, anyways, but the point is, the numbers
they?
are great and
Reaching up.
sexy, but ultimately, honestly, your day-to-day life. I mean, I used to have the goal that I didn't care if I was rich or not. I just wanted to make money doing everything I loved, because then it
Yes.
wouldn't matter how much I made. I could be making $1 a year, but as long as the hobbies I enjoyed doing, I got paid to go do. The people I like spending time with, I got to go. I got paid to spend time with them, or the vacations I wanted to take. Because I had like a vacation review site, I would get them for free. Like, that's all I really wanted. And to be honest, there was a study done. You say money does make you happier up until about 100,000 a year, because
Mm.
around then you can pay for everything you want. And like, the difference between 100,000 and a million, like, you quote unquote might be happier, but it's negligible, because I mean, once you have your car, a nicer car, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of going to make you happier, but not
It's not
really.
magnitudes of degrees, right?
Right.
It's not like
It's not,
profound.
yeah, it's like a
It's
diminishing
incremental.
ROI. So it really comes down to just building like a well-established business. And
Mm.
like exactly you said, like having it be the people you want to work with, doing something you love doing in a culture that you love and enjoy, and so you feel you have significance, and honestly create a legacy that can pass on forward and just make a difference in the world, help other people. I think that that's really kind of, I mean, it depends. If you want to be the next zipper manufacturer, I don't know how you. Maybe you do. Maybe you do find some deep, profound meaning in creating zippers
Mm.
for the world. But that's whatever it is. You kind of have to have that. And we've kind of talked about this on the call. And everyone listening, there might be at different stages or phases, but it'd be really to your benefit to look at the alliances you have, the alliances you're missing that you could have, ways you can support other people's business, and then also, of course, how you're living your life. And are you not doing things because you're fearful, or is it because you've designed your business that forces you to be in a situation you really dislike again and again and again? Um, you just need to really take a look at that. I have a friend that he ran his own company for 6 years, and he decided to just go take a job because he just loves strategy and biz development, but he doesn't want to have to do the marketing and sales and all that. So his
Mm.
vision for his business, and that he's still quote unquote like a consultant, but he just has like one client that he works full time for, and that's like his, and that's for him, and that's after taking a really deep dive analysis of some of these things and seeing if it's perfect for him or not. And I'm not trying to talk anyone out of running a business, but I am going to say that running a business is not for everyone. And so, again, if you're listening to these interviews and these calls, and there's things that you hear people have to do or go through, or the energy or time or effort they put in, and it doesn't appeal to you, then don't get started, because it's a long road, it's a hard road, it takes a lot of time, energy, dedication, and you have to be passionate to it to get to the other end. Everybody wants everybody wants like the $1 million body, but no one wants to go to the gym, three
Mm.
times a day, and weigh everything they eat and all that stuff. And that's just the reality of what it's going to take. So, anyways, that's my side. That's my tangent. We talked about tangents before we got the call, but that was
Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So you can just keep going. I'm quite happy to sit here taking notes. I'm learning stuff.
so well. And it's because you see that all the time. You see people that there's like, I know I've met rich people and I've met poor people, and I mean poorest of the poor. I've been in the slums of Kibera and Africa, and I've been all over the world. And I tell you,
Mm.
man, there's something to be said for just having, one of my goals is designing my 24-hour cycle for my life. And what do I want
Mm.
my 24-hour cycle to be and to include, and what do I want it to not include? And then how does that line up to everything else? And so,
Mm.
like I shared with you before the interview, one of my goals is to have a network of highly esteemed peers who are world class at what they do, and also people of phenomenal character. And that's part of why I even sought you out, because
Mm.
I didn't really know you very well, but man, people I know, like, and respect were singing to the hilltops about you, and just from what I can tell, from what I found about you, you definitely seem to meet that. So, again, it's really important, the things you brought up, people being held back by fear, by overcomplicating things, by trying to do it on their own. Even if you're not necessarily sharing customers, you can share resources, you can share office space, you can share, like, there's a ton of different ways joint ventures and strategic alliances can benefit you in your business. You brought up
Mm.
a lot of really good key lessons here, Glenn. And so anyone listening to the call, you may want to go back and listen to this again and dig deep for those gems because they're there. All these interviews, there's tons of gems. So if you didn't catch it, go back, listen again, and contemplate how it applies to your life, your business, your situation. Whew. All right. So, Glenn,
Mm.
what are you working on right now? What are you excited about?
I am excited about helping my. I'm excited about helping taking more entrepreneurs to double or triple their revenue in a short space of time, and then open them up to a much greater lifestyle than that. So my job today is really three parts. First of all, is to put the sales in place and the marketing in place to help people double or triple their revenue in a 2 or 3 month period, and then to help them use that as a gateway drug. So I think of myself as a gateway drug, right? Because once you can start, most people don't need a lot of finance to really change their life. They need to create a level of financial security and a little bit above that to be able to really open themselves up to having a better life, becoming a better entrepreneur, a better person, a better father, a better boyfriend, fiance, husband or wife. They don't necessarily need a lot, but they need to have the right amount of time, the right cash in place, the right business which supports their emotional, mental, and needs, and gives them those 5 freedoms which I talked about. So I'm most excited about taking people through that experience to then take them through that transition and then open them up to a whole new world of living a way better lifestyle and all of that, and then introducing them to my peer group and my mentors in different areas of life that can help them to really transform their lives and live life on a much higher intensity in all those different areas.
Hmm.
So today I was talking to my girlfriend just before I got this interview. Today we were having a really big conversation with a bunch of my guys who have created a lot of income and a lot of time in a very short space of time, and now they're at a place where they're getting to decide, and they are scared at the next level. And the next level looks like them is they don't know who they are. They don't know what they want to do next. They don't know what their life wants to look like. They've got this time, this money, and they're really enjoying what they do. So what do they fill it with? Well, this is the fun part. This is where we decide what they want their fitness to look like, what they want their relationships to look like, what it is they want to be doing outside of that, interest in their own development, and to bring a much more wider set of experiences for their clients, and to take those guys through a set of experiences, through a set of meetings with different people, and a series of teachings to help them really grow as individuals and just ultimately become better people. And predominantly we work with men, so I would say better men, but we've also got some alpha women in our group as well, and really just looking to build that. So there is nothing more stimulating, more exciting, more rewarding for me than when I see someone coming to me who's made a massive transition, and they are then looking at what they can do or what is possible for them on a next level, and just being able to, in many cases, give them my experience and kind of direct them through that next change. And in other cases, in a lot of the other cases, being able to say, hey, look, I've been through this incredible experience. This really, really helped. Let me introduce you to the person that can take you that bit further, because I'm not the guy to help you get a six-pack or get in your best physical shape or increase your testosterone. I know what I did, and I know who the right person is to help you, so I can take you and introduce you to that person, help direct you through that, and make sure that when you do that, other areas of your life, like your family and your finances, are taken care of too. Or when you want to, you've got a loss of identity and you don't know who you are, and you're trying to figure out what is it you want to do with the remaining 25, 30, 40 hours of your week, and you're shit scared, not knowing what to do, to be able to guide you through that. So that is possibly more exciting. I have some pretty big financial goals and stuff goals that I want to do. And that all is very exciting, but I'm just as juiced up, if not more juiced up, about the process in which we're going to do to get there. So I'm very, 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 very fortunate, and I think about that pretty much every day.
That's awesome. That's really
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So, how does someone get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more, or maybe reaching out to be one of those people, or anything like that? What are the best ways for someone to get in contact with you?
Well, what I'll probably do, best thing to do is two things. I mean, I'll send people probably gonna be like, this guy says he's so good at webinars. Where can I check them out? And I've got some pretty awesome ones. So what probably best thing to do, Daryl, is I'll give you a link for people to check out that side of stuff. In fact, if people just go to getvelocity/Daryl. I probably should put in there something like getvelocity.com/Hanson Daryl, because that's more, more accurate.
And that's
Um,
DARYL.
Thank you. So what I'll do both. I'll do getvelocity.com/Daryl, DARYL, and I'll do just for you, handsome, getvelocity.com/Hanson Daryl.
All
And
right.
what else? They see, man. I bet you've never had any of your guests offer to do that, right?
No, no. I'm just hoping it helps. I'm just hoping that link bumps up in the search engines. When people look for me, they see how handsome I am. Just.
You need to get your SEO teams on it, man. Get them doing it. Handsome Daryl.
I even got URLs with handsome in it. That's awesome.
We can start marketing for your, your lovely lady, getting your partner on this through internet. That'd be a good one. But what I'll do is I'll if you go to getvelocity.com, so that's GETVELOCITY, so getvelocity.com/Daryl or /Hanson Daryl. I'll direct you to one of our webinars. You can see some of the things that we do and kind of learn from what we've got as a really, really refined process for running webinars. So any of you marketers out there or want to find out specifically some of the stuff we do to build that freedom business. And I would also just say to anyone two things. I try to keep myself, really reachable and really accessible. I'm a big fan of Tim Ferriss and fortunate to have spent some time with him. And while I love the guy and I can appreciate why he does it, many people have read the 4-Hour Work Week and they now think they need to become like behind steel walls and unavailable. And I tend to think the opposite is kind of more cooler. So you can reach me at facebook.com/Bridges on Business if you want to send me an invite, say hello. I'd love to know what takeaways you've got from this conversation today. That's facebook.com/Bridges on Business, or you can just reach me at Glenn, GLENN, at getvelocity.com and just drop me a line, let me know what you took from the training, and if there's anything that I can send to help you or put links your way, then I'd be more than beneficial. So just love to start a conversation and hear from you, the listener. So that's where I would direct people to, Daryl.
Perfect. So that was getvelocity.com/handsome Daryl, DARYL. Or you can go to facebook.com/Bridges, BRIDGES. You said it was Bridges on Business?
That's correct. Yeah, my second name on business. Yeah.
Got it. Bridges on Business, or you can
I,
email
I,
them.
th- I thought you said bridges on bitches, because that would be even cooler. But I'm not sure my girlfriend would have thought
Yeah,
would have been cooler.
that's my other podcast. It's a different type of
Yeah,
podcast.
that's my other profile too. That's my hidden one.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, that's where you get to see the real behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Or Glenn, GLENN at getvelocity.com. Glenn, thank you so much for your time today. I am so glad I tracked you down. Thank you for sharing and just participating and helping me in my mission to help create 200 new multi-millionaire business owners. Thank you, brother. I really value and appreciate you.
Daryl, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. This has definitely been one of the most stimulating podcasts I've had. I want to thank everyone else for listening in. And if there's anything I can do to help, or you want to reach out for any questions, then to yourself, Daryl, and listeners, then you know where to reach me.
Sounds good. Thank you. You've reached the end of our interview. Now, first, let me thank you for listening. I appreciate and respect you more than you'll ever know. And now I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. First, what 3 lessons did you just learn? What 3 aha moments just jumped out at you? Second, what can you implement for yourself and your business in the next 24 hours? Third, what can you give to someone else to help you with, or give to them to just do it for you? Whatever it is, remember, taking action is the secret sauce to results. Now, if you think this interview would be helpful for a friend, please give them a link to it. It'll help them and it'll help me too. I'd also like to invite you to help me find out more about the challenges you're facing, your dreams, your goals, and how I can help you overcome what's holding you back. We both do better when we know better, and your success is my success. So please reach out and interact. You can visit our website, bestbusinesscoach.ca for Canada or California, where I'm from and where I'm living. You're welcome to also try out one of our paid programs. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and pretty much every other social media channel you can think of. You should also subscribe to the podcast, and if you're enjoying them, please leave us a nice review. It really helps. That's all for now. Once again, thank you. Take care of yourself, and remember, the world needs the best business you can build. And I believe in you.